Welcome, horror fam, to HHN 365, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. My name is Mike, and as always, I'm here with my co-hosts, Duff, Jess, and Jonathan. How's it going, guys?
Oh, it's a great week.
Spec season. Spec season.
Yes, it is the speculation week. On today's show, we will be going over Horror Night Nightmares Spec Map Volume 1. If you don't know what we're talking about, we're about to explain it in just a second. But as always, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at HHN365 and on TikTok, HHN365pod. There we have an amazing Discord. The link is in the description, and we have a merch shop at hhn365.com. Keep your eye on that. And a voicemail at 407-906-4134. You can always leave us a voicemail, and we will play it on the show. Basically, I'm sure there's other things we could talk about, but we have so much to talk about the spec map that we're going to basically devote the show to it. But before we get to it, what actually is the Nightmare spec map? If you're first time listening, you probably don't know what we're talking about. If you listened before, I'm sure you have at least a little bit of idea, but let's go into it. Who wants to talk about what exactly is the Horror Night Nightmares speculation map?
I volunteer.
Ooh.
No.
I will
Uh,
distribute.
so basically, like Mike said, if you have been in the community, if you will, for a while, you're pretty familiar with the spec map. You've at least come across it. This is coming from Horror Night Nightmares, who is a social media account, forums, now Discord server. Basically, very prominent in the community, very large members of the community, and for the past several years now. They've been putting out spec maps that have kind of been like almost the official kickoff of spec season. They've really just kind of taken the mantle of being what speculation is for the HHN community. So basically, what they'll do is whether it's going to be naming outright what they think something is going to be on literally just a map of the park and the locations of the houses and scare zones and shows, naming what it is, kind of giving you a hint, just showing a picture to give a little bit of a clue. They do it in many different ways, although this year, as you'll see, it's kind of more consistent. Um, and they've always kind of had a pretty decent track record. Um, I know last year, as far as speculation went across the board, the early stuff wasn't as strong. But if you go back over the years they've been doing this, it's going to be, especially this early in the season, kind of your best idea of what you're going to get at the event. So,
Yeah, and it's like an aggregate of the current rumors, and
mhm.
it's constantly changing. He puts out a Q&A of kind of in his own words exactly what the spec map is, that we're not going to read word for word, but if you want to see, it's attached to his spec map tweet on Twitter, so you can go ahead and read that in his own words. But it's basically just he gets it from everywhere, and it's constantly changing. This is nothing official about this. This is just the rumors that are kind of out there, all aggregated onto one map.
Yep, and that's the one thing he will always kind of close with. Keep in mind, this doesn't mean this is going to be the event, and what you see right now, it will not be the event at the end of the day,
No.
to a T. That's not going to happen this early.
No.
But it can get us very hype for the event, and
Mm-hmm.
again, really kind of kick off spec season. Um, so if you want to go check that out, go look at HN Nightmares on Twitter. Um, and follow along if you'd like, because we're going to hop right into it, starting with Orlando's. And I guess I'll get us kicked off here because I love Flan. And if you remember us going over the code names that were in the house permits, Flan was for Soundstage 23A, which is this first rumored house, which is just a map of Mexico all the way down through to the bottom of South America. That's all it is. Did anyone kind of get any feelings of what that could be when they first saw this? And it's an original, by the way. Forgot to point out.
No. No, because I didn't think, or I went the IP way everybody else went at first until I realized there wasn't
Oh, yes, yes.
roll there.
Yeah. Yeah, if
So
you're looking at the map, there's on some of them there's a little symbol that I think we have determined that the little movie symbol means it's an IP. So if it doesn't have that, we're assuming that means it's an original property.
Mhm.
And this one particular does not have that little movie reel symbol by it.
Yeah. And I know, especially on TikTok, where a lot of the people who find us on TikTok, they just find us on the For You page. So if you are listening to us, hi, thanks for finding us. But they don't know like about the map like we do. Maybe they do, but they saw this and they all started screaming creature like everybody else. And I could not convince some of them that it was not going to be an IP. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before we actually talk about what we think it is. I have no idea. Anybody else?
Jonathan, Mike, any thoughts?
I mean, my brain originally. Sorry to stuff.
oh, you're all
this
good.
on
You
Jonathan.
go for it.
I mean, my brain first went to well, we experienced kind of like the monsters of Latin America. So this is has South America and Mexico. So kind of what we consider to be Latin America. And so we have experienced a house that was based on the monsters of Latin America in Hollywood. So my brain first kind of went to, oh, we are getting something similar to that potentially.
I mean, that's a great thought process. Jonathan, anything different or basically same page?
Pretty much the exact same page, actually.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan, but that's basically the community consensus at this point.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. The community consensus is either like just a Latin America original, which could be really anything involving Latin America, or specifically Monstros. Those seem to be like the two things that the community has ended up leaning on. And when we talk about community, we're talking about like various Discord servers, like our Discord server and Hornet Nightmare's Discord server, and Twitter posts and TikTok comments and Instagram comments and Inside Universal Forum comments. So when we talk about like what the community thinks, it's sort of like an aggregate of like a lot of those responses. But yeah.
So, question for the group. We have got a couple of times come to mind where we have had original properties that were originally Orlando that kind of are taken by Hollywood, and we get, Scarecrow, the Reaping type of using the exact same name of a Orlando original. But correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we have ever experienced that reverse where we have taken a Hollywood original and used the exact same name over here, right?
Yeah.
Did
Nope.
we not take La Llorona? Or no, that was the
No,
same year.
That was also, same year. Fully different take.
Heard.
Yeah.
Was not sure.
No, yeah, but same
Different
year,
tag,
same
yeah,
year.
different urban legends.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And did they have urban legends on their tagline?
No,
I don't believe so.
No,
No.
they don't.
it was just La Llorona. It was like the one that we saw, kind of.
Yeah,
Well, it
we
was,
saw the
right?
enhanced version, if you will.
But that was Hollywood's version.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
least.
Exactly.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was like the year before. Well, I mean, wait, I can argue. They did monsters before we did as a big like conglomerate
true.
monster mash
That is
house.
true. And
Yeah.
we literally
In
And that is
2018.
it's an IP.
it is an IP, but it's
and
an,
we yeah.
it is an original idea
But
that
that's
we took
it.
like the same, just the mashup form. So we kind of took an idea, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
Which also, if we're going with IPs, was done with Alice Cooper. But anyways, yeah, you asked about originals. So moving on. No, they
Yeah, it's
haven't.
definitely been done.
They haven't
with
actually
IPs
done an
before.
original Hollywood coming to Orlando.
So what I'm
And it-
hearing is we need an Undertaker house so we can have there at the Undertaker house.
Coming to
I mean,
HHN
we've had-
34.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been rumored a lot, like that we were going to get a Holidays in Hell house and some of these others. But it's just never quite happened.
No.
But what do you guys think? Monstrous. Do you think they're going to use the exact same name,
No.
or are we going to get something just similar?
No, I think it's going to be something along the lines of an original taking place somewhere in Latin America, kind of, but not actually like, hey, Monstros, or necessarily any kind of any tales, but maybe just something fully original. So I don't know if it's actually going to be anything like Monstros.
I wonder if they'll take it and then maybe do like a things that maybe people on like the southeast region would more relate to, like people still from like Central and South America, but like I don't know, like if there's like a Florida version, like Florida lore has taken it. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like they did kind of like what the West Coast would relate to out there, maybe something more East Coast
Yeah,
this way.
I
I don't
could see
know.
that for sure. And
Still monstrous.
I think the main one you're thinking is probably also chupacabra,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's really
Or
exists in
like a
Florida.
swamp monster.
Yeah.
Not a Yeti, but like I grew up off the Everglades. There were like a million different names for him. Like, you know, I don't know. There are ways to do it where it's more culturally relative for
Yeah, of
this
course.
side.
Of course. And
Well, it's way too early to get excited about anything on this map because it obviously any of it can change. Looking at you, Japanese original.
Oh no, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
But that being said, I am on the record. Chupacabra was my favorite house. To get something kind of, in spirit, a sequel or similar feel to that, sign me up, baby.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
definitely. And then before we wrap this one up, I would like to point out, as I mentioned earlier, the code name for this location was flan. And of course, flan is a dish that is from other places as well. But speaking where we are from in the U.S., a lot of people would point towards Mexico being a very consistent home of flan. So that is on this clue.
Well, I drink a Modelo.
I hope that we get all of these the codename houses as treats at the event this year.
Ooh,
That'd be amazing.
I want flan.
I want some moving on to the next one. Cookies. So are we good on flan?
Yeah.
Can I move on?
I like cookies too. Not as much as flan, but we can move forward, I guess.
If Tres Leches was on here though, I
Oh,
would be
yeah.
fighting. Oh, okay. So our next one is going to be in Soundstage 22. This is an IP on the map. It is a skull with some fangs.
Ooh, my favorite kind of skull.
Yeah, I guess so. Some people were arguing that they were tusks. I saw as well. I think we're
Tusk original confirmed.
Oh God, please
Oh,
no.
no. Do you imagine that
Kevin
at
Smith's Tusk
SeaWorld?
confirmed.
That at SeaWorld would be crazy. You standing by the seals going, I know you're down there.
Oh.
Sorry.
I mean, okay, tusks, yeah.
All right. So the code name on the permit was cookies, as we said. Do you guys have any ideas, any feelings on this?
It looks like, I mean, it's a human shaped skull, a humanoid skull, if you will, with fangs on it. So naturally, vampires would come to mind.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Again.
I mean, vampires can be done well. There's a lot of vampire intellectual property out there that could potentially work. Jonathan, has there been anything kind of rumor aggregate wise of where people's brain are headed?
Unfortunately, it's the one that I know Jess is thinking about right now, just
Mhm.
based on her reaction. And the big rumor, because this was a rumor previously before this map came out. So people sort of put it onto this map when the symbol came out. And that is Dracula. And
Ooh.
we're gonna go over it later because we got the whole map to go over. But I don't think any of the other IP symbols on this map, at least the ones, there's some unknown ones, point to anything monsters. So people have said, all right, so this one looks, fangs, human, could be Dracula. None of the other IPs look like it's pointing to monsters. So that is what the community is going with, unfortunately.
What about any of Dracula's family members?
Dracula's stepsister.
Dracula. I mean, you know where I'm getting here.
Yes,
I'm
I
not
know,
gonna
I know.
There's a movie coming out that is loosely based on Dracula's daughter. Comes out in April. Abigail. Any
Oh yeah.
I will say that is probably, from what I've seen, the second most guessed thing for this one.
Yep.
Yeah. most people are also saying the Dracula movie, the the voyage. Is it a
Oh,
voyage?
yeah.
Oh,
Am I making it up now? It's like
No.
Demeter.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The film from
He's in a
last year.
boat.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in a fucking boat. Like, I know there's that one, but like, okay, Mike, I like where you're going with family members though. What if, because Monsters is technically an IP, what if this is like the sequel to Bride and it's like the Brides of Dracula instead?
I would love that.
Yes, please.
I'd prefer
That would be cool. Right. Is this where Bride was, or was that in a different soundstage? Do we know?
This.
I'm not good at that. I told you I'm
Not-
suck at
no.
geography. It's
Not
close enough.
Not where Bride was. No.
Okay, well, I was gonna say Good Bones, but I can't say that.
I mean,
Well, maybe I can.
I mean, just because it wasn't Bride doesn't mean it's not.
I know.
Good
Well, I was
Bones.
trying to relate, like,
I
but
feel like there's a banger in one of these sound stages,
All the time.
every third year.
but is it a banger of the day?
It doesn't really have good bones, by the way.
It doesn't have good
Stop.
bones?
We need to know what the banger
Not the
of the
best
day
bones. But I will say,
What are the
this
bones?
location going back to '95 is like the original home of like Universal Monsters.
Good bone.
Old bones, but good bones.
Hey.
It's more-
Be careful what you're calling old.
More like mixed bag bones. But last year this was Exorcist Believer,
Oh, that was okay,
Okay.
bones.
aka
That was pretty
Spirits of
good
the
bones.
Coven,
Bad bones.
and Ghostbusters.
is.
Oh no, bad bones.
Well, I mean, technically, is this A? It's not on the.
How
is
far
A,
back do
right?
we have to
Okay,
get
never
a
mind.
banger?
A banger.
A banger?
Like, how far do we have to get to like a really
Has
solid
it ever
house?
won House of the Year? Has the soundstage itself ever personally won House of the Year?
That I could
We're
not.
getting really fucking dirty.
could not
I know
answer.
we're ripping 22 apart right now.
Oh
but,
yes, I guarantee it did. An American Werewolf in London in 23.
Oh, that's a
was
banger.
almost
Ooh, the
definitely House
OG.
of the Year. I'd say, yeah.
the
It had
OG.
well, it had
yeah.
the OG and the remake, but
Oh, well, whatever.
Okay.
I don't care about
They have better masks. That's the main difference.
that.
For those who don't know the difference, they have
We're
better
better.
masks.
Can you guys relate cookies to Dracula?
Actually, one of our Discord members can.
Oh.
Hydra on our Discord server actually came up with the connection for cookies being possibly related to something monsters, like we're saying Dracula, for Cookie Monster, and that's how it possibly could be related to Dracula.
Don't laugh, because the one I remember the most is last year. The Last of Us codename was Pear because it was a pair of heroes.
oh, I wasn't
Mhm.
laughing because it doesn't
I'm
sound
not saying
right.
you. I'm saying the listeners.
I'm laughing because it's hilarious and potentially true.
I was saying for the
Mhm.
listeners that maybe don't follow spec season. So
Yeah,
like
yeah, these they typically don't just give these away. It's not like a easy gimme. It's a tough connection typically.
which is why I'm hesitant about the next one.
Mm.
I know it's probably happening, but it's too on the nose.
Maybe just a different location.
Maybe.
Speaking of the next one, do we want to move on to the next one? Are we all good with
Yeah.
with cookies?
Yep.
I'd rather we move on.
Well,
All right.
we could skip it too.
Yeah.
No, we got to talk about it. This is important. So Soundstage 23B is next. The code name for this location, as we insinuated, is S'mores. And according to the map, it is an IP. It has the film reel symbol. And the symbol itself is like a logo for like an old Cadillac. And that's the car that the Ecto-1 was. So this out of all the symbols on this map, I feel like most people, like almost every single person, I'm pretty sure all of you guys as well, like said, all right, we know what this is, like what they're insinuating immediately, because it's probably the biggest rumor right now, unfortunately, and it's the one that I think is probably the most obvious on this map. Do I want to say what it is at once?
No, I'm okay. You
No.
can take
No.
it.
So what the community is speculating, and what every one of us here also thinks the symbol means, I'm pretty sure, unless I'm wrong, is Ghostbusters.
Put words in my mouth, Jonah.
Actually, I think this is like a car original.
I think it's Christine.
Yeah. Is she a Cadillac?
I have
Uh,
seen a couple people legitimately say
Oh.
Christine. I'm like,
I think
okay.
me and Mike joked about this, and I think we found out Christine is a Chrysler.
It's a
Is a Chrysler. So no.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna scream at us. Someone's like, "You're fucking crazy, you idiot."
Yeah.
I don't know cars, man. I don't know
There-
maps or cars.
There is one piece of news we can relate to this code name and rumor and symbol on the map. And basically, last week before, like the day after we recorded, actually, it was kind of funny. HHN rumors and Legacy both said, which they are both insiders in the community. If you guys don't know, but HHN rumors and Legacy seem to believe that this house, which the previous rumor from Alicia Stella was that it was going to be based on the new films. So like Afterlife, Frozen Empire, those. They seem to believe it's going to be like a mashup of Ghostbusters 1 and 2 instead of the new films. And I know Duff and I talked about this a little bit on the last episode. So Mike and Jess, what do you feel about that? Like, would you rather have this approach than doing like the new films?
Mike.
I mean, we've experienced 1 and 2. I am always kind of like to see something new. That's where my brain will always go. Be like, I'd rather have something new that may not work than see something that I've already seen before that arguably worked or didn't work. I'm not going to get into that. But I kind of always like to go with seeing something new. So I'm team Frozen Empire or whatever it's called. Did I make that up? Or is it called?
No, that's
No.
it. That's it. You're
You're
right.
right.
Yeah, I'm team Frozen Empire. But if it's 1 and 2, that makes sense.
Okay, so I've talked about it before. I'm not educated on Ghostbusters. I've seen like half of the first one. It's not for me. What isn't the new one like all of it? Like a culmination of all of it? Don't they say like every ghost is back
Mhm.
and they're all
Yes.
Yes.
back? So
Mhm.
It's the
like
greatest hits for sure.
what's the difference between this new one then and 1 and 2 besides cold?
Uh,
I
Different
mean,
characters sounds like about the only thing, and obviously maybe some different settings or the same settings with
Okay.
ice on them. I don't know.
How many Ghostbusters are there?
This would be the fourth.
Oh, so it's just 1, 2, the female one, and then the new one.
Yeah. Well,
So they're just saying no female?
well, technically that's a different universe. So 5, if you
Oh,
include that. But in this universe of Ghostbusters, there's 4, and then the separate,
sorry.
it's separate universe 1. Yes. So there's
There's
5
probably an
total.
episode where we've done this already with me.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I can think the main difference is the originals have less like teenager looking characters, but they've never had a
Mm.
problem doing teenage looking characters when they've needed it before.
Oh, the like Stranger Things kid is in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're all
Okay.
there's a lot of
Okay.
kids in the originals. They're base. They have the old people too, but the main subject are the kind of the kids. At least if we're going off of the newest one, we hadn't not seen Frozen Empire yet. I have my tickets for Friday.
But like, so, because Janine's in like the trailer, right? Did I make that up?
No.
no, Janine
no?
is in the trailer.
Okay,
You are
look at
correct.
me. I know Ghostbusters. Toss my fucking hair. So like to me, what does it matter besides cold? If all the ghosts are there.
That's a great question that I mean we might find more out about soon. Who knows?
I don't know. I'm
And
not
it
gonna say the
really
movie.
seems like based on the trailer, it's hitting all the places. Like we're
Okay.
going to
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
library.
they're
This
showing you everything.
might have some icicles on it. Like
Oh, are you
it's
actually
going.
gonna give us a facade then in this house that
They fucking
isn't
better.
bullshit?
Yeah, potentially.
Even if it's like how the Myers house was in like the center of Halloween, if they gave us like the firehouse in the center or whatever, that'd be cool. Or whatever. I
Mhm.
don't know, man. Ghostbusters, woo!
Yeah.
I'm getting the Beetlejuice trailer this week apparently because of Ghostbusters, so I'm happy.
Ooh.
Ghostbusters did something right for you.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, we'll see if Ghostbusters happens. We'll see if it's 1 and 2, or if it's Frozen Empire, or some of the newer films. This is has a lot of to be seen rumors on it.
S'mores
Moving,
makes sense though. Sorry, because
yes,
it's another house.
Yeah, s'mores makes sense. All right now, all of these code names have had some sort of making sense. We're getting to one where I have not been able to place it. But moving on to Soundstage 24A on the map, it is a symbol that does not have a little IP symbol like the little film canister, and that is a symbol. The best way to describe this, I'm gonna look at it and just try to explain it. Um, it looks like how I look after I've had one too many beers. But I spent half of my face was like sunburned, and half of my face was covered by a hat.
And you have different colored eyes.
And I had different colored eyes. So it's a skull, and half of it is black and half of it is white, but the skull is cross-eyed. And
You're also
and
balding, I think.
it has an arrow nose.
Oh my
It's the best way to describe it. But rumor has it we've seen this symbol before. Who wants to talk about that? Oh, by the way, this is Puddin.
Puddin. All right, Harley Quinn.
Puddin.
I mean, I talked about it in the TikTok. The symbol. I mean, I remember it because it was on stickers in like the checkout in the first room. But people were saying it was on the comic books. Every picture I saw, I didn't see it exactly on the comic books. It was a tribute store logo that was on the comic books. So, Jonathan, you're probably going to correct me, but I swear it was like a TS logo. This was like on stickers in the first room.
I'm sure it was on stickers in the first room. To be honest, I didn't look too far into it. When people just said it, I'm just like, okay, I believe you. You know,
I believe.
So like, I don't know.
We do the real journalism on this podcast.
I know.
It
didn't seem like something people would make up. Like it's like, okay, it was on the comic you got. Oh, cool. You know, it seems like it was. I feel like I remember it on there. And I feel like people have shown pictures with it like on the comic, but like, so I think I'm pretty sure it was there, but like it could not be. But regardless, it's related to the tribute store. It's related to the tribute store we got in 32, and I think that's the most important part of this. Besides the coloring, which is not what the skull looks like usually. The skull is just a skull, like it's just a white skull that does not have the half black, half white. That is a completely that's a new thing that Horde of Nightmares did specifically for this symbol.
Okay.
Almost intentional.
Okay, right. So the symbol does not have the black and white cookie thing going on.
No.
That's
it's just a skull. That's all it is. Like normally, like Jonathan said, but
So I mean that brings you to one specific thing in the tribute store from last year that was black and white. Boris Schuster's room. Many people have gone straight to that. I've also seen a decent amount of people say maybe this is like a curator, like the main character of the tribute store, if you will. That was his name, right? Curator.
Yeah, like the creep show looking guy.
Or his own house. But way more people are saying Boris than that.
Yeah,
it feels a little too soon to go back into to a Legendary Truth Boris house, but I'm not gonna complain if we do.
Oh no, I wouldn't be mad. And this is also leading people to go, well, we need an icon too. So
yeah, of course they are. No, I mean I agree it's a little too soon, but for me I just feel like that maybe it doesn't have to be exactly Boris, maybe just like film noir, maybe just black and white comic books, maybe that kind of style. Like it just kind of
in a comic book store, maybe
that'd be cool. Kind of like how Pandora's Box was like in Hollywood, how you entered the store first and then you kind of dove into it. I do think it's interesting. I feel like to me, Pudding. I'm gonna go down that. Follow me for a second. We're gonna dive down a rabbit hole. To me, Puddin makes me think of like an accent. And when I think of black and white movies, I think of like a transatlantic accent and like full film noir. And then I was going down like a little rabbit hole of like maybe we were gonna get Slaughter Cinema, but it was all film noir movies. And I was just kind of spiraling for a moment. Okay. Because I was thinking like someone calling, hey Puddin, like
It's
Something
like
like
a
that.
Fillmore nickname for sure. It's like an
Yeah.
old timey slang. Like,
What's
hey,
up,
Puddin'.
Puddin'?
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
all Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm probably completely wrong, but that would be really fucking cool.
I saw her smoking a cigarette. The first thing I could think of was Puddin'.
It's actually The Walking Dead because Carl ate the thing of pudding.
Some people on Discord servers have also like went to your line of thinking and thinking like, oh, would it be cool if it was like Slaughter Cinema but black and white, that sort of
Oh,
thing too.
cool.
So there's others who think the same way. So you're not alone in that, actually.
Yay, we all have the clown noses on together.
To be fair, that would probably be the coolest of them.
Yeah.
I think we are in that time frame now where you can say, okay, Slaughter Cinema, it was long enough ago where we can't be like, oh, too soon, and it can make its comeback.
That was a whole pandemic ago.
I know.
Yeah.
And then some.
I was a different person.
And then
like,
but yeah, Boris too soon for me. It is. Unless you are literally, as people are hoping, make him the icon and make it his event, which people are going to hate me, but I don't know if I want that. I don't think he'd be the best icon from my
Yeah.
perspective of what I can imagine them doing with
Have
him.
we ever had a hero icon? No,
Nope.
I can answer that question.
Nope.
We've not. So unless he's gonna have a heel turn, so to speak,
ooh,
you know,
I mean, you could have a hero as an icon. It would just make the event quite a bit different.
It definitely would. I wouldn't be against it if it happened. I'd be like actually really interested. Like, okay, we're taking a new direction. I'm all for this. I like when they try new things. But yeah, like just thinking about it on its own, like before, I don't know, like it's hard to think of them wanting to do something like that because that is like is it very different from what we're used to in terms of icons and what an icon is.
yeah, it'd be fun. Again, I
Yeah.
like them trying new things. If we get a whole Fillmore like themed event, like everything is kind of like from like that 1940s feel, and like that would be dope. But
that would be really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But this one, that code name is it's tougher to place than the others for sure. So I'm gonna roll with Jess. I like that. That works. Puddin'.
Thank you. Puddin'.
All right. Shall we move on to the next one, which is gonna be for Soundstage 24B, which we noted before is fudge. It's a lollipop.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yes, it is.
swirly lollipop. It's on a stick. It's a lollipop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think probably all of our minds went to a similar place. Can I confirm with you guys what you thought when you first saw this?
Candy.
Obviously
Give us some
the Willy
candy.
Wonka
Yeah,
Glasgow
Timothy
experience.
Charlemagne.
Well, great.
Yes,
Glad we're
singing.
on the same page here.
We also did something completely absurd.
Yeah,
We all
mine
did.
was Adam Sandler's sketch from the 90s from Weekend Update. That's what mine was.
I'm just Timothy Chalamet in a soundstage tap dancing.
Well, I'll say what we all probably actually thought, which is also what
Yeah.
the community immediately thought.
Mr. Sweets?
Yes, correct.
He's a major.
It's major, but
If you're nasty.
yes, that's
What military did he serve in? Stolen valor. Stolen valor.
That is a veteran, Mike. You will respect him.
I need to know his rank. I need to know what organization he served for. If not, that is stolen valor.
Duff, try to rein us in, please.
But anyways, people are inferring that this could potentially mean a return to Sweet Revenge, the scare zone from HHN 31, this time in house form. And a lot of people seem very excited about that possibility, which again, for me, even though you're going scare zone to house, I could use a little more time away. I'm just saying. Also, people
Yeah.
speculating that he could be an icon, by the way.
This one's interesting because like you said, we kind of just had it in 31, and it is like a different form. It feels too soon. It wouldn't be something I'm against. Like I would like it. You can do a lot with this. Like you could make fun of Willy Wonka, even though that's already happened. But you could do it, and you could just have a sort of a Willy Wonka parody type thing where you're in like Mr. Sweet's factory or stuff. You could also just make it very Halloween and do like trick or treating, and what goes wrong at a Halloween festival, but like in a soundstage type area. Like that could be fun. I think it could be a really good house, if it ends up happening, if the rumor's true. It just feels like it feels like it's too soon that Horror Nights would want to do it, but like they could want to. Like I don't know. Like it's a thing that a lot of people were thinking about like as a want in the beginning of the year, and when that ends up on a map, in my mind that's usually like a red flag. Like, ooh, maybe this one isn't, like we're not all of these are going to be accurate on the map. It never is. Maybe this is one of the ones that ends up not coming on the next one. So like I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that the connection to fudge is a little iffy here because fudge is not a candy, and every single one of these are sweets. So like, I don't know. I don't like this. That's all I got.
I don't like it.
Not many thoughts about
Okay.
this lollipop, clearly.
Interesting.
I mean, joking aside, I think a Major Sweet would be a really cool icon. I think, and if this is, his icon house, I think there's a lot of fun to be had here.
Well, what if it's not as an icon? It's just a house.
Oh,
Just one.
No,
No,
no.
I mean, still could be fun.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to see if you're like, no, that would fucking suck, actually.
It would be really interesting if, okay, like let's assume that this is the map we get, which is funny because there's 2 houses missing, so only 8 houses. But we would have a black and white house next to what I would assume would be the most colorful house. So talk about an eye fuck, one right after the other. So I don't really want to see Major Sweets. I thought he was fun. I like the zone, but if the house is gonna be like the zone, I don't want it. And I don't know if I want to see his factory because it was just like a rundown movie theater. I don't see it being like this big grandiose thing. I see it kind of being grungy and like a saw trap, which that actually could be fun. Candy saw traps.
Oh my god.
Universal, I'm sitting here waiting for you to call me.
They have a good track record of taking an original scare zone and turning it into a cool house. So
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna move on to something that we're probably gonna have nothing to talk about. Over in Fast and Furious, we have it was Pi on the permits. That was the code name, and it says unknown IP. But I would like to point out there's no film reel on this IP, but the map says IP.
Oh,
why?
Oh my god, you're right. Oh, I didn't even connect them.
All right, I figured it out. So you know how Universal used to just like fully take IPs but not pay for them?
Yeah.
Boom. Done.
All Night Dying.
They're gonna it's All Night Dying, and they're gonna steal IPs again.
But while also paying for 1, 2, 3, 4 IPs.
Exactly.
This is for those who've seen Madam Web, this is the Spider People house.
Oh god.
They're not Spider-Men, they're Spider People.
My mother was searching Amazon the rainforest when she died. Is there anything? I know that Five Nights at Freddy's was the big one everybody was screaming about for this, and I think it would be funny with all of this speculation or rumor that it got dropped, that was the unknown IP and this stays unknown until it gets announced. Well, that would be the fucking ruse of the century. It's not happening.
No, I don't want to say it's not happening, but rumors are pointing to no for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard to speculate when it says unknown.
Yeah.
But it's not an IP.
All right, I'm going to take my guess then, and I'm going to go off the code name. And it's going to be our next musician house. Of course, everyone knows the song Cherry Pie by Warrant. We're getting a Warrant house.
Hell yeah. And
She's
it's bigger.
my cherry pie.
Remember the
That's
rumors
what...
that it's going to be bigger because they're going to close Fast and Furious? So they're giving
No.
Warren space. What if this is my WWE house?
Warrant.
No,
Oh, I was
in
gonna
Fast and
say.
Furious. Okay. Now again, I'm gonna put on the tinfoil hat. We have no rumors to back this up, but in a perfect world, Fast and Furious would be a great location because you have all like the fencing and the line and everything. You could throw some like barbed wire up and put some like weapons up.
That's exactly what they did for the Undertaker house.
Exactly,
You know,
but you already have that in the queue.
yeah, you don't have to do it.
Just use the ride track and as like the actual house space. I'm available to work.
You
for
get on
Universal.
the party bus and everything.
Yeah, it'd be great. Be an ambulance match and whatever.
All right, I feel like we can move on.
Yes, please.
All right, let's do it. We're gonna head to this is a fun one, because we are heading to a sprung tent that is new, and that is sprung tent 3. So this one does we talked about it before in a previous episode, but if you guys didn't listen to that one, there have been permits filed for 2 new sprung tents that are bigger than the original ones. But these permits do not have code names on them. So for Sprung Tent 3 and Sprung Tent 4, there is no code name associated with them, so we're not gonna say them here. But on the map itself, it is it says it's IP with the film reel, and the symbol itself is like the mute symbol, or no sound, and that's what it is. And I want to know, guys, what you guys thought right off the bat seeing this symbol, because the community seems to be split on
Jonathan,
this.
you know what we thought of first.
I do.
I mean, my first thought was not anything HHN related, but that's just me.
Not anything
Oh.
HHN related.
Oh,
It's an HHN
it,
spec map.
no, I know. Remember, I told you I was sitting on the porch with Daniel.
Oh, yes,
and
okay.
we are Beyonce fans, and we were the mute challenge. You guys don't even. It's
I know what
stupid.
that is.
You do?
I'm
Oh, I'm
habitually
sorry.
online.
Oh, that's fair. Okay, chronically, yeah. Well, that's what I thought, even though obviously that's not it. I just don't like it when people assume. No, I thought what you were gonna say. Go ahead, John.
Okay, so these are the 2 IPs that are being rumored, and actually Hornet members even made like a poll saying like, which one do you think it is, and had both of these options, and that is A Quiet Place and Silent Hill. Those are the 2 rumors sort of bouncing back and forth, because if you look at the symbol, they could apply to both. A Quiet Place, obviously, because you're not supposed to talk or else you die. So shh, be quiet.
Spoiler alert.
I know. Oh my goodness. And Silent Hill, because the first word is silent. So like, yeah, So which one do we think this is gonna be? If it's any of them.
Okay, let me drop the think part. I would prefer personally to have Silent Hill. I don't know though what this is actually saying.
Yeah, my thing is I'm less negative on it being A Quiet Place now, because I feel like the new movie it's the prequel, so they don't have to be quiet yet. They don't know that yet. So I feel like that takes away that whole argument, but I just don't know if I want to see like another post-apocalyptic city in ruins being attacked, and like we just kind of have had that too many times. So to me, Silent Hill is what I want, but we also have had that before. So I know that this is a new movie or a new TV show or whatever, but like there is that argument where people are like, we've had that already. So I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I will say though, also, if it is A Quiet Place 3, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be post-apocalyptic yet. I don't know how deep it's going to go, but at least at the beginning, it would not be.
Yeah,
it's true. What do you think, Mike?
Well, to be honest, I think just kind of like the Ghostbusters, I always like to default of, or I've seen Silent Hill before. That was a year I did get to attend. As hard as I can imagine A Quiet Place working, I think it would be interesting to see them try to pull it off. So I would prefer a Quiet Place. Whether I think one it makes more sense than the other, I would say Silent Hill probably makes more sense. We've seen it at the event before, but who knows?
Yeah, no, that's really fair. I think I would prefer Silent Hill because I haven't seen any of these. So I didn't see the original Silent Hill, and I would be interested to see what all the hype is about because I know people really like the games. And I would like to see it like in a haunted house format. Also, I'd like to see it because I really don't want a Quiet Place. Like, don't want it at all. Even if they focus on the third one where maybe the sound won't be as much as an issue of an issue, because the way movies laid out. I still think the monsters are very, very, very hard to translate. They would have to be puppet heavy, and I haven't seen a lot of Horror Nights houses that have done puppet heavy things well, to like really have any faith that they would get it right. Um, so like that'd be a big issue. And also, even though there would be a lot of noise and stuff, like it'd be so weird having to like walk through and like having to have a big loud noise and then you get the scare, and like that's how it'd have to be because the monsters can only attack with sound. And could they actually pull that off? Will there be scares that would be only like activated if you scream or something? Like, I don't know. It's it seems something that's super high concept and like they could do it. I'm sure they could. I don't know if they could do it right or the way that like something like this would need to be done, especially if we're dealing with these giant creatures. If the locations are correct, which the map, the locations always shift, so this could not be correct and it could not be in a sprung. But could they fit the size of those creatures in this location? I don't even know. So yeah, really, I just want Silent Hill because I really don't want A Quiet Place. But yeah,
Well, it sounds like you just challenged them, so they're definitely going to do it now.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
say, fuck you, Jonathan, look at this.
fuck.
Also, aren't these tents a little bigger?
They are bigger.
They are,
They are
yes.
bigger.
Doesn't mean taller.
They're not like warehouse size.
right,
But
but
I mean, I guess they
closer than
could be. Do we know height at all? Was that in the permits, Jonathan?
I think we do. I don't know it on the top of my head though.
Well, because like, is Silent Hill? Is that Pyramid Head?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was a stilt walker. He's tall.
He was
True.
a tall person.
He was
Yes.
a big bitch. I wasn't sure if it was that or Resident Evil because I have no fucking idea about either of those properties. So I'm just thinking. I'm also very curious about the walk to this house. So maybe it will be something I don't care about. Then I won't have to walk out there.
Hey, look at that.
There you go.
But no, I always want to be positive. So either way, we'll see.
Interesting to see for sure what they pull off there. All right, moving on to Sprung Tent 2, which is unknown original. This code name I think we're linking with Cobbler. Again, when it says unknown, especially with original, there's not a lot to speculate here. Has anyone heard any rumors that would be linked to this? Some original concept that's not have a emoji
Yes.
come up?
It's the one everybody has been talking about. Scary Tales. Cobbler. Think of like old lady who lives in a shoe. I've seen this one come up a bunch. So
Okay.
and we haven't seen Scary Tales since 2018. I also heard maybe like cobblestone, so like Wizard of Oz, but we had that the last time that we had Scary Tales.
Scary Tales. Yes.
Mhm.
So maybe a continuation with a different, I don't know. But that's like literally the only way I could go. Or like, isn't Cobbler like really big in the South? So maybe something Southern again.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying why the fuck can't I think of our favorite house last year?
Of our favorite house?
Yeah, what the fuck was it?
Darkest
Thank you.
Deal.
I was sitting here going, it's like it starts with a D, but I could only come up with Dead Man's Pier. God. See, we're in the next season. It's already the brain fog is that bad, guy.
I mean, Peach Cobbler does line up.
Like the South.
We get a Darkest Deal sequel already?
Nah. Not yet, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
or just story of how that guy got on the piano. That's what I
That's really all I want to know.
how he ended up in there.
What if it's literally just a place to go eat cobbler?
Could be.
A patisserie, a boulangerie.
That's all I got.
No, the scary tales thing makes sense.
We'll see. Okay, so I'm bad at tent numbers. You guys know this. What was here last year? Was it Darkest Deal, or was it no? This was Oddfellow.
Correct.
This
yes.
fell.
Okay,
You got it. See,
I did
believe
it.
in yourself.
Well, now it's even more confusing because 4 is on one side, 3 is on the other. Like, I can't
Yeah.
do this, guys. Geography is so hard.
Oh yeah, they did do that weird. I don't like
Yeah.
that.
You should rename them. Just go down a line. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, also the way that and this, I'm not calling Jonathan out, but my brain read ST 1, 2, 3, and 4 as Stranger Things.
Oh.
That
In
did happen.
our outline.
Yeah.
So I was sitting here like Stranger Things cobbler. I was so
I
confused.
will say this is an original, but the IP that's unknown as well. They're in Stranger Things fonts, so you know.
Oh,
Stranger Things.
Oh,
I was gonna
God.
say, did anybody look up what fonts those were like in Microsoft to see?
Someone probably did. Yes, I was gonna say no, but listen, I know how community gets about these. Someone absolutely did.
All right. We want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's do it. We can move on. That's gonna be over to Sprung Tent 1. This is an original, and its code name was Baklava, and it's a bull head with a human body and arrows behind it, spears,
A
something.
Minotaur?
Minotaur?
Yeah, I guess it's a minotaur, but it looks like the Chicago Bulls logo.
It is the Chicago Bulls logo.
Anyways, did anyone get anything directly from that when they first looked at it?
I mean, I had some thoughts like originally, like, you know, seeing, I guess, a Minotaur going like straight to straight to Greek, straight to Greek mythology. But I did listen to the Hunt Girls podcast to cover the spec map, and I want to credit them because I didn't even think about this. But the Minotaur, they explained more thoroughly, so like check them out because I don't have it all on the top of my head. Is like directly related to Poseidon. So, I mean, that's another way to sort of tie this, this symbol in, like maybe why they chose Minotaur specifically, that it could be like they could be saying something regarding Poseidon in this. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that's better than anything I had.
It's Theseus in the Minotaur, right? He's Theseus is the hero who had
I
go up in
believe
the
so.
Minotaur in the maze, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you
But,
guys know, like, so I was in Greece over the summer and we went to Crete, and part of the thing we did, we learned about the origin of the Minotaur, at least their origin
Oh.
of it. And it had our group of 5, which you guys know us, shocked. And it's really hard to shock us. So, yeah, it had, like, from what we were told, it had nothing to do with Poseidon. Maybe. But the Minotaur is an offspring because there was a woman who wanted to mate with a bull.
I have heard this before.
Yeah, and she like had an insatiable lust. And so she went in a cow, I believe, and mated with the bull and created the Minotaur. That is what I was told on the island of Crete.
It's really funny that you said that because before we recorded, I sort of tried to remember the connection between that they were saying. I looked it up, like Minotaur, Poseidon. What was it? And the story I read was that I don't know if this is necessarily accurate, that Poseidon caused that because like the husband like wouldn't sacrifice a bull for Poseidon, so then Poseidon was like, all right, I'll make your wife
insatiable. Yes, her lust insatiable. Yes. Okay. So yeah, that was part of it. But the part I was stuck on was how it was created. But yeah, that is like there's like that whole big deep thing about it. And yeah. And it's something that like they still talk about to this day in Crete specifically because it's so important to them.
Okay.
So that's crazy. Poseidon makes a lot of sense now, but I really fucking hope there's not like a bull mating scene.
Or do
Oh
we hope there
God,
is?
don't.
What?
What? Nothing.
What?
Huh?
Mm, mm, mm.
All right, we can move on, right? No. So there is one more thing about this, and that is Legacy. The Insider was explicitly told that a Poseidon's Fury house is not happening.
And that's interesting. That is very interesting because like we all sort of think that this symbol would point to something Greek, right? Like that's what we're all sort of we're thinking right now that it's something Greek mythology related.
Yeah, but mainly because, I mean, I don't know where else it would be. So yeah, no, we'll carry on. Yes, yes, I do, of course.
So like let's say this original is like Greek mythology, right? And that's the rumor, that's what this original is going to be. Why wouldn't they go the Poseidon's Fury route if they're going to already go into Greek mythology? Um like it kind of makes sense unless they wanted to do like just a general Lost Continent one that like maybe has like hints of Poseidon's Fury in it but not all about Poseidon's Fury. Like that'd be the only other route I can see them taking it. But I like they've done it before. They could just do a completely original, Greek house like the Hades one and just do that and it'd be great and a great original. But with dragons being so popular last year, I don't know if they go that route if they decide they want to do something Greek. Like I think they go something related to islands, but like I could be wrong and they never want to do that. But it just seems like if they're gonna do it, why not go that route?
Yeah. I was reading more on the Minotaur while you were talking though. The labyrinth was built to house the Minotaur. So that also could be
Yes.
something that the house could
Okay.
tap into. Is that nothing could like control the beast. So the king instructed, I believe it was Icarus, to build the labyrinth to house him.
Oh, okay. So maybe we could have a split the choose
Ooh.
your path type of thing.
Oh, that'd be cool. Maybe it
Be
could be
really
like
cool.
all of the story of it, like Poseidon to the you versus the Minotaur in the labyrinth.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
But wow. Look at that. I retained knowledge on my trip.
It
But
was
yeah,
an
I could see that.
educational trip.
I mean,
Woo.
there has to be at least some Easter eggs to Poseidon's Fury, right? Like, I don't know if we're gonna get the full, the story. I don't think we're gonna get what's the name of the bad guy in Poseidon's Fury?
Darkanon.
Darkanon. I don't know if we're gonna get a Darkanon themed house necessarily. He's not gonna be the main villain, but I think they're gonna go more Greek mythology and less universal Greek mythology, so to speak, of what they built for Poseidon's Fury. But I could definitely see some Easter eggs here or there.
And to answer Jonathan's question, I would say if they're doing Greek mythology and not just Poseidon's Fury, I'd say it's because there's more to work with probably than being stuck to the story that's already told. You can kind of go anywhere at that point.
Mm-hmm. Did like Lost Continent have like more? Because I don't know much about it. What it was. Did Lost Continent have like more stories that like were in the land that like could like if you wanted to make a house just like generally based on that, like could that even be possible or not really?
I mean, yeah, there were, but I think everything else was a much smaller scale than Poseidon's Fury. That was very much the focal point, the main story told within the land as a whole. So it wouldn't add too much more, I wouldn't imagine.
That makes sense.
All right. Should we talk about our last house?
Let's do it.
All right. Another new sprung tent number 4. We have an IP. It does have the film reel this time. I'll give them that. This logo, it is a crescent moon with 3 stars. And I'm just going to talk about, we had a tweet, you probably saw it. Alex, our Discord mod, actually was the one who discovered that this symbol is the same symbol that was used in HHN 17's Nightmare on Elm Street Dreamwalker's house. It's the Sleepwell drug logo.
Hmm.
So what do we think?
I mean, I'd
I
say
mean,
they're definitely hinting to
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street. That's
Yeah,
for
I like
sure.
it when they hit the nail on the head of at least for what know what they're trying to say.
Yeah. And it's the 40th anniversary, right, this year of
Of
the
the original
OG?
film, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know about Freddy's rights, though. I'm not familiar with, like, how that whole thing is and how tight they are or not.
So we talked about this a bit on the last episode, and basically, we do know for a fact the first film and Freddy are currently owned by the Wes Craven estate. We know the Wes Craven estate attempted to get rights to every other film, but we don't know if that actually happened. Um, and in which case, if they did not, that means they're owned by New Line Cinema,
Okay.
which is a
Gotcha.
subsidiary or some connection, some ownership falls to Warner Brothers.
uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
But I think this would, out of all the IPs we've talked about, I would most want to see this one. We haven't seen a standalone Freddy house in 15 plus years now at this point, and we saw Freddy in Freddy vs. Jason at 25, even though it's still a while ago at this point, and he feels kind of like one of the two untapped slashers at HHN. So I'd happily take it. And I think he's one of the slashers. Just how his character develops across his franchise and all the different things that happen, he really has the most potential for really having a full on original concept house or just a badass mashup if they want to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. It looks like we haven't had a Nightmare on Elm Street movie for at least 50, like nearly 15 years. 2010 was the last time we had a movie, and
Mhm.
it looks like it made money. It was a 35 million budget, and it made worldwide 115. So that's a successful movie right there. So there must be something about the rights.
Oh yeah,
I think they're
it's always been about the rights. That's always been the issue, and the Craven estate going for the more recent or all the sequels, I guess, is a more recent thing. So
I will.
we just don't know if they were successful in acquiring those rights, and we also don't know how easy the Wes Craven estate is to work with. To be fair,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
we assume that's
That is
better
true.
than it being with New Line Cinema, but we don't know.
I don't believe that. I always go back to when the basis of Warner Brothers Horror, the Horror Made Here event. I don't think Freddy was present at it at all.
Hmm.
It was Jason. It was Exorcist. It was every. I'm pretty sure it was everything else except Freddy. I could be wrong, but everybody talks about it, and I don't remember seeing him be part of it. So like, there's always been an issue there,
Mhm.
even for Warner, which that should tell you enough right there. So I don't know. I would
apparently
love to see it.
apparently there has been attempts at projects, potentially an HBO Max series, but nothing has, as of right now, has come together.
Mhm.
But so that we might see more uh, Nightmare on Elm Street stuff in the future, but it looks like things have tried to happen. It just hasn't come together.
Yeah,
I
Freddy and Jason have encountered very similar issues.
You're
Um,
telling me.
it sounds like Freddy, luckily, is in a better scenario currently than Jason's, right? But still tough, just because we don't know what they really look like. And from what you brought up, Mike, what we've seen is that it's really tough to put out anything Freddy related at this point.
Yeah.
Besides merch.
I will say, sort of going away from the rights topic just like for a second, I just recently watched the original film again last night. I actually watched the third one for the first time too, which was that was a really fun experience. But just watching the first one with like, all right, I put on like my HHN cap, like how would this make for a good house if we just did the first one, not even touch the other ones that might be in rights hell or whatever. And And I'm just looking at the movie, I'm like, there are so many scenes, so many things they can pull like exactly, and it would work so well. So many creative things they can do with the sets for transitions and taking you from place to place to place, and it would make sense. Like there are so many things they could do in this house. Even in the film, they use like the HHN mirror trick, which HHN didn't invent it, but they literally use the half mirror, half real set where like Freddy like appears out of nowhere behind a tree, but it's just like the mirror trick, which was like, oh my god, that's a scare right there. So like if they were to just do the first one and that's the angle they took, however they wanted to take it, because with Freddy you could kind of take it in a lot of directions. Really, you don't need to do any sort of book report. You could just take it and however you want. It's a dream. It's whatever. I think it would be absolutely fantastic. I think it could like out of all the I guess rumored IPs that are on this map, it would definitely be the one that I'm the most hyped for, at least right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Does anyone have anything else they want to say about the Orlando map before we hop on a plane and fly west?
Yeah, we have a few more things on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
I'll take this one. This one I'll have a lot to say. It's quite interesting. Fear Factor stage on the map, and the symbol for this Fear Factor stage for a show is fire. Man, I wonder what that could be in the Fear Factor stage with fire. I have no clue what they might be insinuating here. It's really a doozy.
They're insinuating that they're about to put that stage on fire.
On fire.
They're about to burn that thing.
Just gonna burn it.
All right, well that's settled. Moving on.
But seriously, how do we all feel? Obviously, the community consensus and everyone's consensus, Nightmare Fuel coming back. How would we feel about this show coming back? Which we recently just talked about in the last episode. This had like, according to IAPA, had the highest guest ratings for a Halloween Horror Night show ever. So yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't hate the idea of it coming back, but I really hope it's a completely different thing. I think they did a decent job last year of changing up quite a bit, but like completely different thing this time.
I don't know if we're
Please.
ever going to see that, Duff.
Then I'm frankly not interested.
I think it's always going to have, that the Nightmare Fuel is always going to have a certain aesthetic. It's always going to have a certain style.
But why can't
it's going to have a certain story. It's going to,
why can't they drop the nightmare part? Why not just focus on the Fuel Girls and do a different story completely? I don't see why that's not reasonable. There's no reason it has to continue to be this nightmare.
Just bring in Freddy Krueger and it's all good.
Why can't it just be like it? It could be called Nightmare Fuel with a different tagline, but they don't have to go to sleep. It's just a show. Like look at it in a format of just a show. It's just an opening magic trick with a little show and dance, and then some fire, and then another magic trick. All they need to do is develop different tricks, and then they can build the story around that. And they can still call it Nightmare Fuel, but call the tagline more related to whatever the legit story is, and just make it horror-esque. There's like a million horror burlesque shows out there. Just find like a different kind of like theme.
These performers are hyper talented, and I will always be captivated by that. But I will get bored of the same thing being told to me over and over and over again. And obviously I know you guys do agree with that.
For sure.
And I know we're not the only ones who feel that way. So for me, it's literally change it up. I'm happy. If you don't change it up much, well, then I will go see it. Don't get me wrong, but I won't be super excited about it.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, honestly, it doesn't bother me too much because I only see the show a couple of times. The story, the story is only there to facilitate the magic and the dancing and the stunts and the acrobats, right? Like the story is there just to facilitate going from one place to another without jarring the jarring the audience. The story is real. It's very loose. There's really not much of one to begin with. I don't mind that we're seeing a similar story every year, as long as we're seeing different enough acts. Now, if we see the exact same magic trick every time, like from year one to year two, I totally get the complaint, because it was a very similar show, like down to like beat by beat. The second one, I think there was a there was different enough performances that I did not mind it.
Mhm.
I'm happy for people who enjoy this and will want to want to see it come back, and even if it is how they've been sort of doing it, pretty similar. They like it every time. I know there are those people. It has highest guest satisfaction scores for a reason. So like that's great. But if it comes and it ends up happening and people walk out and saying, "Yeah, it's about what you expect," I'm probably not going to walk in. I'm probably not going to see it. Like, because even last year, which I know you guys like really loved it, and I just realized like, it's really not my thing at all. And even when they did change up a lot, I walked out and I'm like, this is just isn't a thing for me, and that's okay. Not everything is. It's just I have a feeling if it comes back, like I'm just gonna not have much interest in seeing it. But I know a lot of other people will, and I that is good. That is a good thing.
All right, and then to finish up the spec map for Orlando, well, okay, not completely, because all the scare zones are there and they all say unknown. No, spoiler. There you go. But the final thing we actually have on the spec map is a brand new location for us, at least for a long time at HHN, and that is going to be at the Animal Actors stage, and it is a castle, like a castle, like spire, just a single like castle spire kind of deal.
Yeah.
Um, it's a show. Anyone have any thoughts when they immediately looked at it?
Rocky Horror, which I know is a good chunk of the community as well.
Mm-hmm.
It is also the 50th anniversary this year.
Oh, well,
So
that's something.
just saying.
That adds something to it.
It's been at the event as well, but what we're about to talk about is also piquing my interest.
Yeah, and I know a lot of other people were saying like Beetlejuice too, like Beetlejuice Graveyard Review, like Rocky Horror and Beetlejuice Graveyard Review seem to be like the two ideas, because I don't know if we mentioned this, but this is an IP show. They clarify this on the map itself. So people are like, oh, Beetlejuice Castle and or Rocky Horror Castle, makes sense, and a lot of people have been bouncing between these two. But do we want to get into what apparently what HNN thinks this is?
Yeah, because at this point, it doesn't really matter what the community consensus is, because this is HNN's map, and they quietly told us, they didn't say it, they said it, what this potentially means. And that was them retweeting an article saying that this symbol meant Harold and Kumar. Like, Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, the castle represents White Castle.
Ooh.
So, Bill and Ted-esque show, obviously, a comedy duo. I've asked for comedic relief at the event. Not how I expected it to come. And I'm not saying it is coming. It's not definitely coming, of course, but this would be something.
Okay. Jonathan, have you seen any of the Harold and Kumar movies?
I have not. So I like all I know is what people tell me about this.
Right. So, Duff, I know you have.
Oh, of course.
Right. I know. To me, as a fan of those films, if this is a thing or a murmur or a whisper, this sounds like the rumors are just saying that we're getting a comedy show, a duo. This just feels like they are, how do I word this the right way? They are trying to find a duo that is more, I don't even want to say modern, because Harold and Kumar are not, but in our age bracket, Duff, like that is more known than Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted is older than our generation. Well, not our generation, but our like age bracket, like older millennials. This is I don't even want to say younger millennials, because we're not young anymore, but the younger side of the millennial age range, I feel like would relate to Harold and Kumar more, because those films came out in the 2000s.
Mhm. I
I
will.
still don't think that this is gonna happen.
I will also
Sorry, what?
say they're probably more of. I don't want. They're not a better fit. Obviously, can't say
Mhm.
that yet. They are more of a natural fit to the kind of humor that HHN did at the Bill and Ted shows, because they kind of
Yes.
overdid what Bill and Ted humor is from like the films, um,
Mhm.
and made it super raunchy. Harold and Kumar in the films, it is super raunchy
Yeah.
and over the top, very early to mid 2000s humor, like
Yeah.
to a T.
Very American Pie, like very much that
Yep.
era of
Yes.
films.
Yes. So they would fit the style of humor that they used to put out in the Bill and Ted shows. It it just doesn't feel big or relevant enough. Is kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah. Where's
Yeah.
the draw?
Hmm.
Like where's the current draw that goes beyond, people our age that are sitting here saying, "Oh, I grew up with them." Like, ha ha ha, stoner humor. That's our whole generation. And I do agree. I think that they lend themselves better because in my opinion, what Bill and Ted were doing was more Harold and Kumar. They just used Bill and Ted because they had been.
Hmm.
What it had evolved to, at least when it started, obviously they didn't exist. So, but Jonathan, what were you going to say?
I will say in terms of like, because I think it is important to like talk about sort of the history of this rumor. Um, we talked about it sort of the last episode, Duff, how like insiders, I think Legacy was like hinting about like the comedy duo and the IP, and I think even Legacy is like, oh, people aren't gonna like that. And it seems like this is exactly what they were or what they were referring to. So like this rumor, I guess, didn't come out of nowhere because it is like seems very random, to put on
Hmm.
this map, but I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about this. I have not watched Harold and Kumar. I probably won't, even if they come. I'm probably not going to. It's
I
and
mean, you probably should at least do your
so
research, but
They are dumb enough that I think you
I
would at
think you'd
least
en-
enjoy
you
the
you
first one.
you'd laugh your ass off at Go to White
They're yeah.
Castle.
really.
Yeah, I think so.
Dude, it's just like dumb stoner humor. Like it is so like I don't even want to compare it to Wayne's World, but like in my head it's kind of like that, but dumber. Like it's just two friends, like two stupid friends.
Okay, so like I might check it out. It just feels weird. Like even though this rumor didn't come out of nowhere and was obviously in the rumor sphere and was like existed. It didn't just show up on this map. It was there before.
Mhm.
It still feels like a weird thing, like a really
Yeah.
weird thing. And I until like we see it on like the next map, I don't like I can't my brain can't process it right now that it's true. But like I guess we'll have to wait and see. I will say having a comedy show no matter what is good. Like regardless
Mhm.
of who it is, that is a good thing for the event to have and a very important thing for the event to have. So like that is a thumbs up. Just this particular duo seems very, I don't know. It might just be because I really just don't know who they are like at all, but it feels very random. So like I don't know. I don't
Hmm.
know.
I will say, speaking to the relevancy point I brought up, the kicker here is that there have been attempts, multiple recently, to get a Harold and Kumar originally series and now a Harold and Kumar 4 off the ground, and they seem very committed to doing so.
Okay.
So, however, that is not a confirmed done deal yet. It's not definitely coming.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that matters too much until it's like, okay, it is coming. There's a reason to get this back out here again. Or could this be like, get it back out here again so we can get something off the ground for a film?
Can I bring up one point that could either be I feel like it's going to be a really positive one for Orlando, but the fact that it's also on the Hollywood map makes me nervous. Harold and Kumar also give opportunities to two actors or more actors that are not just two white men.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Orlando is going to do a great job casting that.
I
Yeah.
I will say the thing here is you literally need two
Yeah.
guys and understudies. If they
Yes.
cannot handle that, and I
You can't do it.
also demographically for Harold and Kumar, Hollywood would be more fit demographically to do
Yes.
that than we are. So I'm not worried. Orlando would. I know they would.
I'm
handle
worried
that
about the
correctly.
casting directors in Hollywood.
Yes, but I just they can't fall back on, not that it would ever be an appropriate excuse, but I'm sure that's what they fell back on is lack of availability for previous mistakes along those lines. I don't think they can in this scenario.
No, there's no way
No,
to get around.
if they mess that up, it's like, oh well, that's you fully that wow.
Yeah, and like obviously they lean into it in the films as well. Like there's jokes about it, but like you have to have the casting correct for this.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we'll see.
But like Jonathan said, I'd be happy to have that comedic relief. Kind of no matter how it comes. I guess there are probably limitations to that. And I'd be a little surprised by Harold and Kumar, but I would be excited to see what they do with it. Because I'm sure it would just be like Bill and Ted, but with a new leading duo at that point.
And you know there's going to be little Easter eggs to Bill and Ted. If they do the pose, people are going to lose their minds.
Mm.
You know, something we're just talking about, oh, it's good to have a different show, that isn't just a dance show, have like a comedy show or stuff like that. There is something omitted on this map that isn't here, that's not on the map, that I think a lot of people were expecting to be on this map in terms of shows.
Really?
That's the Lagoon.
Oh, I think it's like dance show? Megan?
Oh, no, like there's no Lagoon show listed here.
Yeah.
It's not on the map. So
yeah.
What are we thinking about that? Do we think it's going to show up on another map, or do we think there just might not be a Lagoon show this year?
I will say that basically any year we've had like a full slate of shows. The spec maps have never really reflected that at first, and I feel like something's always been tossed on later. So I wouldn't be too concerned yet if you're fully sticking to what this map is. But I mean, get you thinking at least, right?
Absolutely. I would, I guess I could sacrifice the Lagoon show for a comedy show. Like but I do want the Lagoon show. So like, I don't know. The comedy show is more important, but
yes, agree.
Why can't we have all three?
That's
eaters.
true.
We should.
Eat them people, yo.
And I would honestly expect us to, but we'll see. I've been wrong many, many, many times.
Three shows would not hurt us this year, especially with the shuffling of the house locations around and everything.
All right. Well, with that, let's just move right on to Hollywood, where since we've already kind of gone over a few things we're going to go over in Hollywood, let's start with Jess's favorite segment.
Ready to eat, the sped up version.
Oh, wow. Chipmunk version.
Thank you.
So as he does, John Murdy tweets, and Jonathan collects them for us. So what do we got, Jonathan?
Yes, we don't have a lot today, but we do have a couple of things. The first thing, which I think is very important, John Murdy is done writing his 8th and final house treatment, which confirms HHN Hollywood will only have 8 houses this year.
Or he's lying.
Or he's lying. He could be lying. That is possible with this tweets.
I'm not saying he is. I'm just pointing out.
I know. I get it. John Murdy's is interesting in regards to his tweets. You got to look at everything with different perspectives. But as we know, and as the spec map implies, looks like there's only 8 houses. But obviously that could not be true. But it seems like it is. And he gave some clues about what this 8th treatment that he wrote, this 8th house treatment will be. And it's an IP original. Which he describes those as like something like Blood Brothers, right? Texas Chainsaw Blood Brothers, where it was like, yeah, it was based on an IP, but it was sort of an original thing. Someone asked like, hey, Murdy, can you describe the house in one word? And he responded, it's not a nice word to say out loud, which is interesting. And I'm going to say the name of this museum wrong. I'm not going to say it right. But he Guggenheim?
Guggenheim.
Guggenheim. Okay. Okay. He researched something at the Guggenheim Museum for this house. Yeah, I think he said he actually went there for it, which is fun. So, how do we feel about this?
I mean, everyone's thinking what the word is not nice to say out loud is, right?
What are you thinking?
I don't know. That's what I'm
I
stuck
mean, my
on.
favorite one starts with a C.
You
I can,
next.
yeah. Can you imagine John Murdy describing a house as that? I don't want to say it because some people are really offended by that word. I love it, but can you imagine John Murdy just sitting there going, "Yeah, that house is CUNT."
You know what? Now that you've said it, yes, I can. And it brings me a lot of joy.
Oh my god. Who wants to take the next one?
I got it. Uh, wait. What? Hold on. I lost the page. Hold on. There
Oh
we go.
no.
Okay, we're good. A clue Murdy gave for house treatment number 1 was borax mine.
This one is fun. Because my friend and member of Discord of Kevin came up with this idea, and I'm not gonna say all of it. Like, I encourage all of you guys to like go to the Discord and ask him, or just find it. It's in the blogs or the forums. But basically, he connected this to like the old, I forget, it was like Urban Inferno scare zone. Like, came up with this like crazy idea relating to like John Murdy before talked about like freezing as part of like one of his clues. And then John Murdy like hinted at like something being related to his own, and and now borax mine. He's like, what if people like dug down in the borax mine and then like ended up like reaching hell or something? He had this really cool theory that like I don't have the top of my head, but I recommend all of you guys to go to the Discord to read it because it is very fun. And you know, he's more of a Hollywood guy than I am, so I definitely check that out. That one's fun. And we have one more Murdy tweet to go over.
Scare zones are currently in progress.
Woo!
Wow.
I'm currently looking at the Guggenheim's past exhibits from late 2023. Just to see.
Anything interesting?
1950 to 1960 Korea,
Oh.
and then 40s France. That's it. But they also have a permanent collection, and I cannot dive into that right now. This museum's huge, so
Oh yeah.
Fair.
yeah, we'll see. Maybe next week I'll have something. But yeah, scare zones are okay. So Murdy, when you say scare zones, do you mean scare zones or 3 zones in one spot? That's what I want to ask. Next time he's tweeting, Jonathan, let me know.
Both.
Okay.
I'm gonna poke the bear.
I'll do it. When next time he does a Q&A, I'll be like, all right, Jess, you're up.
Blow my phone up. Can I tweet it from the 365 account? No, I'll do it from
yeah.
this.
You got to
All
price.
right. Fine. All right. Shall we talk about spec map?
Let's talk spec map. I guess I'll get us kicked off with a super unique one here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We may have talked about this already in the is this that's not saying ube, is it? It's ube.
It is saying ube. That's what they say on the map too.
But like, is it ube
What
or
is that?
ube?
I think it's UBE. I'm not sure.
It's in all caps.
It's not ube.
I mean,
There's no way it's ube.
sometimes I yell ube, but I don't think that's the intention here, right?
What does it
Anyways,
stand for?
it's the Cadillac.
Yeah, but what's UBE?
I don't. Listen, we're not Hollywood enough. Jonathan, do you know? It's
No.
near the.
I mean,
It's near the front of the park.
Well, this is where what's it called was last year.
Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah.
And this is the old Walking Dead
So
attraction.
Why do they call it UBE? I don't know. I have not heard that term used yet.
Okay. Well, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I
Anyways,
was very confused.
it's in the old Walking Dead attraction, the new flex space, and it is the Cadillac, which, as we talked about for Orlando, we have kind of come to the conclusion as a community that it's Ghostbusters.
Interesting place to put a headliner.
Yeah, I
in
mean,
that
hey,
location.
Yeah,
it is the closest to the front of the park.
but no
It's
facade.
true.
Very uncommon for them to do that, but they are doing work in that space, so they could have a facade, depending how much work they've done.
True.
It's a full soundstage, like like that location is a soundstage that Walking Dead was in or whatever. But now I think there have been talks, we talked about the last episode, to make it like a full black box space.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of having to work within the constraints of what the Walking Dead attraction was, which is probably why we went the way we did for Horror Hotel and Evil Dead Rise, hopefully they would have more space to be able to do a facade or do something interesting instead of take us through the same path.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried about the line because that Horror Hotel line was a shit show to get through. Like, just to get to like our line to scan in, because they were like zigzagged all the way across and the monsters cut through and like I don't like that area. It gives me anxiety. And putting like your headliner,
very tight.
crazy.
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I don't know. Anything else to add on Ghostbusters?
We talked about Ghostbusters already.
All right. Our next location is going to be the Parisian Courtyard, and we have a flower, an original. This is where Monstros was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Flower. What do we think?
I'm going to be honest. Until other people told me that this could possibly be related to a Murdy clue, I was just looking at it and I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't think of anything in terms of like a flower original.
Yeah, I got nothing.
No, not even like a little bit. I got 0.
So where did the Murdy clue connect then, Jonathan?
I'm gonna be honest, it was a very loose one. Like this one, I don't remember if people got the receipts, but they're basically like, yeah, Murdy tweeted something about gardening and like researching that, and so that could be possibly related to this. People did have like theories about what the gardening could mean in terms of this, and could it be connected to another Latin American original and this and that. I think all that is not like concrete enough to like really point to anything specific. So right now we're very in the dark about this one. I think by the time the next spec map comes around, Murdy might say some more things that people will be able to like get some more ideas about what this could be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another Latin American original, considering we talked about Alice location for the past 2 years. But
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I'm really lost here.
They're literally like judgmental ass flowers, but it's a very big part of, at least part of it. So there's that.
Ooh.
I don't know. He had a bunch of clues with that. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's the specific flower she talks to, but it's still a flower.
Listen, that's more than I got.
Wow.
They put a book facade there before.
One of my first,
one
of my first Horror Night memories is
walk into a storybook with Alice in Wonderland or something.
Room. So I know it's Hollywood, but like if I got to go through an Alice in Wonderland house, it's over.
Hell yeah. We're gonna go to the Mummy Q, and on the map is listed as an IP, and this is just the mute symbol. So like we said, community consensus, either A Quiet Place or Silent Hill. And I do have something interesting to say if it is A Quiet Place, and that's where it leans in terms of the rumor. From what I remember with The Last of Us, sound bleed in that location was not good. Like it was very bad, actually. Like I think out of all the places to put, if this is A Quiet Place, it could be Silent Hill and it wouldn't even matter. But if it is A Quiet Place, out of all the places to put it, this could be one of the worst places to put it because of that sound bleeding.
Yeah, if you have a single scene that needs to be quiet in that house, this location will simply not work.
Yeah.
But their house was so good, Jonathan. They at least had Ellie and Joel in it.
I have the voices of like Ellie and Joel in my head of them just repeating the same thing over and over again.
All right.
This is awkward.
All right, we've had this enough.
This is awkward.
All right. Soundstage 15. This is going to be a quick one. It's an IP.
Look,
It's
it's
the
getting a
unknown
soundstage out
IP
there,
that we talked about
and
in
over
Orlando.
here it's getting Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
It could be a different one, but still unknown IP.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I got the right one. We're moving on to the T-pad, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy.
Out in the T-pad,
Same
we
space,
have it's rumored to be an original, and I don't know about you guys, but that looks like a fucking larva to me. Lawrence motherfucking larva making his return, rumored. I have been screaming about it since last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be a great campy house. I don't know if Hollywood is the one to do that, but it'd be cool to see it like maybe approached kind of like how Bugs was, but with Larry as the host. Like an infomercial kind of, like that'd be really cool. No. So good. Oh my god. I want the stroller. I want the sprayers.
Yeah,
Jonathan,
for me,
what do you think?
the whole too soon thing does not apply in Hollywood for the most part, so I'd be very down for this.
I mean, I completely agree. I think this tram also had so many set pieces that you could just throw into the house too. Like, it could work really well. The character is already very well developed. You can have a nice, I don't know, like you can have a nice Q video, put a projector somewhere, like you can make this just a really, really fun house. And I really do think it has the potential of hitting like notes that, like, because like the tram did, but like in a full house form, hitting notes that Bugs Eaten Alive didn't in terms of like comedy. I think it could do that.
100%.
Like, and be definitely more funny than that house was. That house tried to do sort of like both, scary and funny. I think this one would just lean completely into funny. With scares, but yeah, I would very much like this. My only the only doubt in my head, but I hope it's not true.
Yeah.
Like the only little doubt in my head that's talking is like technically
Reception was
this
poor,
tram, as told by like our Hollywood friends, like did poorly in terms of like wait times. Like not many people wanted to do it because there was not an IP. Exactly. Like there was it, like unlike last year or 2 years ago where really us and Nope were on like all the marketing, and Hollywood Harry was there. This year they weren't. There was no IP. So you have that original character there and that's all your marketing, and a lot of the people, the common guests who go there don't really care, about this character they don't know anything about, unfortunately, because this character is great. So that's my only like, maybe they won't do it because of that, but also I don't know if that matters too much considering they already have so many props for it. It probably would be like, you still got to put some work in, but would be easier to make compared to like a completely new original.
Yeah. And they gave us a mini house as part of our IP, and that was like maybe 3 minutes is a lot, but it was like a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm. They have a lot to work with if they did this.
Gimme.
Larry would be a fucking icon out here. Like, here's the thing. In Orlando, we would have like hoisted Larry up on our shoulders on closing night and like paraded him around the fucking park.
It's true.
Y'all don't know what you had out there. Appreciate it. This is why you don't get Oddfellow.
They just want another purge.
So you don't get those.
Another purge tram, that's all.
God.
All right, let's move on to Soundstage 22 then. Jonathan, was it you or is it me? I lost.
It's me,
All
but
right.
it's okay. It doesn't matter. But I'll hop in. Soundstage 22 is on the map. We're going to be an IP, and this is the skull with the fangs that we've talked about. That the community seem to come with a consensus that it might be Dracula, but people have pointed out something, and I think it's very fair to point out. Would Hollywood give monsters a soundstage?
I mean, it's possible. I don't see why not.
The thought process from a lot of people, like from Discord and stuff like that, is that Monster seems to consistently be the house that gets budget cut, like every year. With Monsters Unmasked, with Murdy, like explicitly said, yeah, we didn't have money to do what we wanted to do. And Legends Collide having the plethora of like black walls in it, like compared to pretty much every other house that year, besides Clowns, but whatever. Would they put something that isn't like one of their headliners, one of their big IPs in that type of location, I don't know if they would. They could, it's possible. It just it doesn't seem I don't know, it doesn't seem like something they would do. But I don't know. Like it's anything's possible.
I don't know. I think it's more about this space, right? And I think we're taking a 2-year sample size, even though they've been doing the monsters houses of this style since 2018, where like they've basically almost been like headline level before.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Am I saying it's in this spot? No, absolutely not. But I don't see why it can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dracula.
All right, moving on. The next one is the Terror Tram, and it is a picture of the Terror Tram.
Yeah.
We
So
did it.
the Terror Tram will, in fact, be a Tram, or
Yeah.
a tram. There's nothing terror about this tram. It's just a tram. So the Terror Tram will be tramming. That's for sure.
Yes, it will.
It absolutely will.
Moving on to the H slot, we have an IP in one of the tents, and it's a knife, a bloody knife. We could assume there's no color, so could be anything, but probably blood.
Well, it kind of looks like something
Is
else. Well,
Oh my
that's a
god.
throwback to last year. All right.
I mean, is the consensus that it's Chucky, or is that just
That is the consensus that it
okay?
would be like
Returning.
yeah.
They spent a shit ton of money on it. Those animatronics were good. I
They
don't want to
were.
see it,
I
but
just hope they change
I'm
it up.
happy for
Great house, but you know how I feel
Great
about
House.
bringing back the same thing.
But maybe this means I can just go run the Larry Larva house over and over again.
As Chucky was my like number one house, and like I'd be okay with seeing it return because I'd love it, and I'm gonna go if it comes back and I go back and I'm gonna have a smile on my face regardless if I saw it before. But I do hope that they make a lot of changes in terms of like the set. Obviously, the animatronics are probably gonna be the same. Like I don't think they're gonna change the movements. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think they're gonna buy more animatronics. It's possible, And Verdi's animatronic guy might come back and be like, "Hey, I got some more Chuckies." They do more improved things. Let's just pay me the big bucks and get rid of some scenes and monsters, and it'll be all good. But I don't know. I hope it's different. Murdy did say a thing about like not having literal repeats, but I do think that could literally mean like in this version of Chucky Ultimate Kill Count, this scene is moved slightly to the left. And this scene was actually we took the bathroom scene, the house scene, and put it after the hospital scene. So we really changed it up this time. Like
Chucky
so
used to face northwest. Now he's facing south.
exactly. So like I think there is a world where it literally is just the same house. I hope
Yeah.
that doesn't happen though. I hope they theme it to season 3 or whatever the new season is, to sort of give it some new life. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is like the repeat of the year.
Yeah,
I'm
this would be
expecting it
the
to be.
least shocking repeat that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, shall we move on to the next one?
Yeah, and it's the second H slot tent. None of they're not numbered, so they're just both called H slot tents. But this is an IP, and this has the symbol we talked about before, the moon, the moon symbol with the stars. That the community has come to a consensus that it possibly means Nightmare on Elm Street. That this combo of having Chucky on one side and Nightmare on Elm Street on the other, if that happens and that ends up being true, that's going to make that area busy. That's going to be a high profile area for sure.
Yeah, that absolutely would be. Which I mean, at least it's kind of spread out though, right? There's the houses are close to each other, but there's plenty of space there, and it's a fucking hike to get over there.
Mm-hmm.
Not on a private tram.
That's true. That is true.
Very true.
sorry, not to be that person. First time we walked there after the tour was over, I looked at Tough and Mary. What the fuck?
I literally when you guys were doing Monstrous at the end of the night, I was like I like almost ran to Chucky to like do it at the end, and that walk brutal, especially when you're like looking at the like you're watching. I want to hit Chucky as many times as I can and trying to like speed walk it. It's rough. It's really rough.
Now imagine your body being 10 years older. Now you see why we stayed. I mean, Monstrous was our favorite house, but like now you understand.
I do understand. Yes,
it was a necessity.
All right, well, let's get to our shows because all the scare zones are unknown, of course. And let's start with the Waterworld stage because last year that was phenomenal. And it would seem like it's going to be a very different thing this year if this is accurate because it is once again the castle, which we have already discussed, could possibly mean Harold and Kumar.
Why would they change the Purge show?
On
That's
water?
my thought.
Okay, but Harold and Kumar in a fucking boat trapped by White Castle, guys.
It's just the Purge show with Harold and Kumar.
But it's Harold and Kumar and they're being attacked. This writes itself. I would have so much fucking fun with a liquid activated blankie cup giving me social anxiety in this dark ass theater. I would have so much fun if it was just the two of them being like, "Where's White Castle?" I don't know. In a fucking little dinghy. Come on.
All right, I take it. You're right.
Thank you.
That's not what's going to happen, but
No, not at all.
All right, and the final show. We're just going to finish it up here. The final show is going over to the DreamWorks Theater. It is just the silhouette of the Blumhouse house. So a Blumhouse experience like we saw last year, I would assume, is what they're going for. And I think that's what everyone else assumes too, probably.
Yeah, that is the community's consensus that they're going to bring back a form, or or they could change it up a lot. Who knows? But of what we had last year.
Mm-hmm.
So what's coming out this year? Imaginary.
Ugh! Do not talk to me about that movie. Oh my gosh.
Imaginary. What else? I don't even know. Is Abigail?
Night Swim.
Night Swim. Yeah.
Night Swim.
The Wolfman, right?
Yep. Yep.
So there's a couple things that they could pull. They could also still just put the Five Nights at Freddy's like costumes in there, and people would die.
Oh yeah.
So
I wouldn't see why they wouldn't. I mean, they had, they got to last year. It wouldn't be like, all right, this year you can't promote our movie. You'd be like, no.
All right. Well, any last things on the Hollywood spec map?
Can't wait for the scare zones with a Z. Obviously.
Toxic Tunnel Return. It's not on the spec map, but it's coming. I don't care that it's not likely. It's coming. I want to get to 12 X's one day. It's going to be great.
It won't even lead you to no more houses. It's just you do the Toxic Tunnel and you turn right around.
I'm okay with that.
It's its own attraction.
I'm cool with that. All right. Well, you may have noticed that earlier in the Hollywood part, like right at the beginning, I think, Mike disappeared. He had to go step away and do some dad stuff, so he could not finish the episode. But I'm sure he had the same thoughts as we did, which was not many about the Hollywood spec map. But anyways, that's going to be it for this episode. So go follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube at HHN365, our TikTok at HHN365pod. Join our Discord where we're discussing all the spec maps, all the rumors, all the speculation in general. That link will be in the description of this episode. Check out our merch at HHN365.com. And if you want to leave us a voicemail at 407-906-4134, we'll play that here on the episode and react, discuss, depending on whatever you give us. So go ahead and do that. And until next week, we will see you in the streets.